Hello, everyone. Welcome to Box's 2025 AI Trends webinar. We're here to talk about AI trends, implications, tactics that enterprises can use to really drive that productivity and efficiency, and also some security and compliance considerations that are always top of mind when thinking about AI. I'm joined today by two amazing leaders in the AI space, Dr. Ali Arsanjani from Google Cloud and Yashodha Bhavanani, our very own AI leader from Box. So, Dr. Ali, please, why don't you tell us a few words about yourself?
Yeah, thank you very much for having me. Yeah. Really appreciate it. I'm part of an applied AI engineering team, part of the product team. We work with our customers and partners to essentially bridge the gap between their expectations, their needs, and the capabilities that the product provides.
Mm-hmm. Amazing. Well, great to have you. Yash, a few words about yourself?
Absolutely. First, I'm so excited to be here with you, Ali, and Meena yourself. This is hopefully one of many that we will do together. So I'm Yash. I lead Box AI products at Box. I've been here 6 months. And prior to that, I spent the last 10 years at Google. So super excited to talk about AI trends, and let's take this forward.
Yeah, awesome. Great to have you. For those of you who may not know me, thank you viewers for tuning in. My name is Meena Ganesh, Box AI's Senior Product Marketing Manager. Similar to Yash, I'm a very recent Boxer. I've been here, I think, 7 months. Somebody's keeping count, I don't know.
But, more than me.
Yeah, well, for what it's worth. Yes, yeah, but really great to have you. I'm really excited about the conversation that we're about to have. So let's kick off this conversation. Yeah. We're really seeing enterprises rushing to leverage AI to solve for their pain points. And a lot of them are thinking, wait, do I need my own in-house custom AI solution? I'm sure both of you talk to customers all the time. What are you hearing, and what are your thoughts on some of the pain points that they want to address with AI and this whole concept of that in-house AI for their solution? Yash?
I hear this all the time, all the time. I speak to customers every day, and they're always saying, I want to build my own model. I want to, and I say, why? Why do you want to build your own model? Well, we have all this content, and we want to make sure that the model really understands us, and it outputs the exact results that we want. And we are very in a deep domain, some in life sciences, some in healthcare, some in finance, and they have very deep, nuanced knowledge. So the ask is right? Which is, how should they customize their model? I think the starting point might be something to rethink, which is, do you start at, I need to build my own model, or do you start somewhere else? Yeah. So one of the tools that Box AI already provides that we recently GA'd with eAdvanced is AI Studio. So AI Studio, you can go in, customize your own agent, using really this prompt layer, which is you can customize the prompts, you can pick your own model from the variety of models that we get from providers such as GCP and others. And you can then use that with your context seamlessly. And that's one level of customization, which is right at that prompt layer, or what I call the context layer, right? Which includes these series of customizations around what's the prompt? What's the instruction you're giving the model, right? There could be other methods here, such as, can you give it some examples? Can it do some in-context learning? Can it use some of the aspects that you provide, Ali, in terms of caching, right? And this is all this first layer of customization for the context. I think there's one level deeper, which is the inference layer, right? Can you customize the models for the inference layer? Things like LoRa, or adjusting the weights at the time of query. And then there's finally that third layer around should you retrain, train, or build a new model, right? Which is this model customization layer. And I think where the need is right, which is, yes, everyone, all our customers, all enterprises are unique, right? And it's kind of like what you want to find the best fit. And so it's not about the need is right, which is, yes, you need to find the best fit, you need to customize. I think the question is, where do you start? Yeah. And I think the mistake we see, right, is instead of starting at, well, can I start with prompt layer? We're diving right into, I need my own model, right? And I think that's the mistake that I'm at least seeing in industry. Ali, what are your thoughts on this and customization, and when customers should look at each of these, specifically that third layer of customizing the model itself, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
I would concur with you, absolutely. There's a perception, or maybe a misperception, that because I have my own data and my own secret sauce in the model, that data should be somehow reflected directly in the model. So that's partially true, but what would it take to fully fine-tune a model?
Yes.
Are we going to be in the business of maintaining that model? Are we prepared to do heavy fine-tuning of a model for months and months and months with inexorbitant costs? So providers like Google, for example, that's our business. We build frontier models. And those models are good for zero-shot learning. You give it a prompt that you customize, for example, in your AI studio, and the model is capable of handling the in-context learning that you provided inside the prompt. So customization at the prompt level, at the context level, with in-context learning is a game changer. Because, for example, we have, if as you're using some of the Google models, we have 2 million context window buffers to provide it to the model. So in that prompt, you can put in a lot of data, a lot of video, because it's multimodal. You can put lots of content in there and expect the model to understand exactly what your domain needs, whether you're healthcare, life sciences, or whatever your domain is, financial services. Now, if you go beyond that, to your point, the LoRa fine-tuning, the LoRa adaptation is taking a little matrix, not the entire model, so you're not encumbered by the the finances of building a completely new model, but you're creating a layer over the model. That is your layer for that organization, much, much less costly and tuned to the needs of the organization. But there are other methods as well, such as test time tuning or in-context learning adaptation, and there are other mechanisms like reinforcement learning with human feedback they can use to train or customize a model. There's a spectrum of ways in which people, companies, can use their data in order to customize, adapt models. So it's really model adaptation, not necessarily building a whole new model for that organization. The other situations could be if you have agentic AI and you have task-specific models that you need. Very small models like our Gemma models, 2 billion parameters, 9 billion, 27 billion parameter models. You can fine-tune those, and it doesn't cost a whole lot for very specific tasks. So in this mode of assistive AI, which Box provides their customer, your customers, with this capability for assistive AI, you can build it on the foundation of Google's foundation models and others, that you can provide the capabilities with the large context window, with the customization that's necessary to have assistive technologies for the future of work.
So you've really, between Box with AI Studio and Google with the Gemini models and other amazing frontier models that you have teams that are already working on it. They're at the forefront of it. It sounds like enterprises don't need to worry about embarking on their own journey of let me go and figure out this whole world of the different layers that you went through, the different parameters, and that's a wholly separate journey that they'll have to figure out, and then probably come back to, wait, what was the pain point that I was trying to solve? And now I can apply it. Whereas we have these ready-made, easy to tailor solutions that they can get started with, quite easily and quite immediately almost. I really liked where the conversation was going, where, we talk about AI and a lot of the times it's individual productivity, right? How can I get insights quickly? How can I scale things for individual sales teams? How can I scale things for the financial analyst in these organizations? But, if we take it a step further, and after that initial deployment of AI, enterprises are really looking at, org-wide scaling of AI across their business, right? Yeah. And I feel like I love where this conversation was going, which I think we should talk about it next, which is agents, right? And this role that agents play when it comes to scaling that AI and really driving that productivity. So let's talk about agents. I feel like with all the rage that we hear, 2025 is the year of agents. I don't know, I hear that everywhere. So when it comes to agents, agentic routines, what does that mean for enterprises looking to adopt AI? How can they best leverage agents? Dr. Ali, any thoughts?
I think, agents start out with the notion of an LLM, a large language model, and function calling. So I'm calling a function, I describe an intent, and a function is matched, and something happens. That's a very rudimentary, a way of doing agent. Not quite agentic, but it's the beginning. Then you have more autonomous agents, multi-agent systems, where you actually have these agents each having their own LLM. You give it a goal, they reason, they plan, and then they use tools to execute their objectives. So I think from the perspective of the future of work, I know Box is working on various aspects of how organizations can leverage content. And I think I would love to know more about how you're leveraging agentic AI in the context of content.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the premise here, as you talk about the future of work, is we've always thought of we have to work with our content. We have to work for our content, right? And I think the unlock that agents bring is that the content can work for you. Right? And that's the way I've been seeing this sort of shift with what do agents bring. The other point I want to really clarify, and it's a second important point, is there might be this misconception, maybe this misunderstanding around, an agent is a complete replacement of a worker or a person, right? And what I see as the first step of task-oriented, useful agents that you can use in your enterprise is actually assistiveness, right? So the biggest unlock that we're going to have with agents in enterprises, and Box is working really towards this as well with your content, is agents being able to work with your content to do those things that are burdensome, a little bit not fun, maybe repetitive, right? And really augment and assist the person from a productivity standpoint. It's all about how much burden can I save, right? How much time can I save, right? And I'll give you an example here. So something as simple as, I've talked to folks, customers of ours that are in the insurance world, right? And they have a problem of you get lots of pictures. You get lots of documents. You might even get like hand-scribbled notes, photograph, right? And now they've got to look at all of this and start to identify parts of an insurance claim or a report or provide some sort of like, hey, here's my perspective based on all of this, right? And it is a complex, very nuanced process. However, it is repeatable. It can be automated and it requires analysis of content, right? Now, the way this happens today is look at all the pictures, write some notes, put it on a spreadsheet, look at some more details that have come up, and then produce a report, right? A standard format report. Now, in the world of agents, I imagine that this becomes less than a minute of work, right? Wow. So by the time you have opened those files, the agents probably would have done most of this work for you. And a couple aspects that are key to the agentic future is you could define, hey, look at this folder for these particular aspects, then make me a spreadsheet. Then use that spreadsheet and these two documents and our policies to fill out this form, right? And so here, what you're able to do with agents is you can define what the workflow is, rely on the expert agents that have been built for whether it's searching, whether it's analyzing, whether it's planning, whether it's correcting, right? And they can, in an agentic framework, work together to execute on this task and generate a report for you. And the most important part, and this is why I'd say it's assistive, is that you can control every aspect of it. You could see it planning, are those the right steps? Yeah, maybe not, tweak this one, right? then you could see it producing the spreadsheet, and maybe it'll highlight, oh, I'm not sure about this, can you check it yourself? And this level of control is absolutely key to be impactful, right?
Very
so
true.
that's what I think of the first step of a truly effective agent framework and agent capability for the enterprise.
So you're saying essentially that the future of work is all about assistive agents
Absolutely.
helping me and you and yourselves
Yeah.
work better, faster, more efficiently, and focus on things that we care about and are more creative on. Did I get that right?
That's absolutely right, Ali. Which is, I feel like it's very inspiring, right? Because you could imagine the amount of time we can save, right, with agents, so that all of us could have that extra moment of creativity. And how far could we go if we had a couple more hours every day to think about what's possible next, right?
Very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
And I love the example that you just laid out,
Yeah.
which really speaks to, like, sometimes, the drudge work of
Yes,
daily
exactly.
tasks,
Yes.
right? And the fact that even in today's systems, right, a lot of these are disjointed, ad hoc. When we say the word workflows, it's a fancy word. Sometimes that workflow is just, oh, I need to open the right folder and save it in the right folder. That might be my own individual workflow that is not necessarily defined anywhere, right? And I love one of the things that you were going down the path, and I think this goes really neatly with the whole future of agents as well, is understanding content and the various ways that content can manifest. Today's systems are they're really good, I feel like, at taking in structured content, right? Like our CRM systems. They're very good at taking in defined fields of my account, of my customer informations. Contract lifecycle management systems, CLM, right? Very good at taking in very defined contract fields. A lot of the time, some of these companies, like insurance companies or companies in other industries, they might even have in-house CLM systems, right? And it's very defined, it's specific to their use case. And unfortunately, 90% of content that is unstructured does not neatly fit into these tables. It does not neatly fit into these systems. So when we talk about, content working for us, step zero almost is, okay, wait, we need to understand the entirety of that content. And part of that now it becomes, okay, what is the, insights of the content that I can glean? What is the data about my data that I need to understand, the metadata? Right. So I'd love to dive into that, because I think that's a huge part of actually understanding the content, the intent of the content. And so, Dr. Ali, can you talk to us a little bit about the importance of metadata and how AI is really being a game changer in that?
Yeah. I think you hit the nail on the head when you talked about the fact that it's not just about structured data, that unstructured data
so key.
forms the gamut of information that's generated constantly.
Absolutely, yeah.
And we need insights in reports that come out, PDFs, blogs, newsreels, etc. So to get the gist of that content, I think LLMs, large language models, in general, are very good at doing that. But they're good at doing that in a very clunky way, because they're not special purpose. They're not tailored to very specific things. But agents, as you mentioned, Yash, are task specific. So each equipped with their own thinking, quote unquote, reasoning, planning capabilities, can read the content, understand, digest it for their specific purpose, hand it off to the next agent, hand it off to the next agent, and then an agent summarizes this, consolidates the information, distills it, and brings it back to you.
Yeah.
And I think that's what you all are doing at Box. You can power this with the models that we provide, the Gemini models, our agentic frameworks that provide the capability for you to actually build agents on the platform and not worry about, okay, I have to build foundation models. Well, that's done. You can customize them with the prompt that you provide and build on top of agentic flows, essentially.
Absolutely, and it's one of our, it's one of the best ways, I think, that we are and we can take the future of work forward, is really making unstructured data start to feel structured, right? Because, we have I was talking to a financial company the other day, and they have just a bunch of contracts, right, that they do with different clients, right, as they provide services. And each of these contracts has various fields that are important for a certain thing. Now, when you want to pull a report, you have to go to each one, you have to figure it out, what's the contract value, when does it end, so forth. And the future of work is where you no longer have to do that. Because with AI-based metadata extraction, the AI can pull out the relevant field from a massive amount of data in seconds, right? It's not hard.
That's brilliant.
Yeah. And not only that, let's talk a bit about the customization. You know, we've heard stories such as, hey, when I define a contract end term, I actually mean it's 30 days after the contract is signed. Now, how do you get that sort of level of understanding? And it goes back to sort of this earlier conversation of customization. Well, actually, you can just tell the AI through custom instructions for this field of contract end time, I mean, add 30 days to the time that the contract was signed, right? And it can interpret that instruction and carry it forward for you. And the best part yet is AI can start to judge itself. So if you had metadata extraction working with AI and you provided it some good examples, it could say, hey, I feel less confident on these sorts of areas. Can you go check, right? Which is a bit of this agentic world. I think to bring it all together, using AI to extract metadata, tie it with your content to power the next step workflow, to power the reporting, to power the newsreel is the first unlock that we're going to see pretty soon, I think.
Yes.
That's amazing. And I think I really liked how you tied that in, because a lot of the times enterprises that have these existing workflows, they have these processes, things are moving in a certain direction and things happen. And it's key for AI to be able to fit into that, right? And not require enterprises to create a brand new, almost a wholly separate AI stack, if you will. I do hear that phrase a lot nowadays. This is the new AI jargon that's coming out nowadays. And the reality of the situation is these enterprises have very specific workflows that you said that are very nuanced. They might vary by department. They might vary by region for those global entities. And I think this leads us to, this next place where I think AI is also really, really powerful is if we take these global entities, right? They have to take into account regional specific regulations. They have to stay on top of it. They have to make sure that no matter what technology or process they're adopting, they're not at compliance risk. They have to retain certain documents, for a certain period of time. I come from the telco world, and I know that for X number of years, we have to keep call records or we have to keep SMS data, right? And all of that content, yes, is sitting, but it needs to be sitting for regulation purposes. And so security, compliance, privacy, and trust, these now really become at the forefront of anyone looking to adopt AI, no matter what that workflow is, right? So let's talk about those 4 pillars a little bit. How can enterprises ensure that they're continuing to stay secure and compliant? And I'm sure agents play a huge role in that. And then using AI for that security compliance use case too. Maybe AI can be an auditor. Maybe
Absolutely.
AI can be a fraud detector. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to start with the first point first, which is why I feel really excited by the partnership that we have with you in GCP and Google, which is, first of all, I think the clear message is AI can be secure, right? For the enterprise, for your use cases, whether you're in finance, healthcare, dealing with the most sensitive information, law enforcement, yes, AI can be secure for you. And we have customers already that use Box AI for exactly these purposes, right? So we're not saying it can, it actually already is secure. And the reason is there's a couple of things. One is at the content layer, what Box provides, what Box AI provides, and then also at the pre-training layer, what models such as Gemini have been pre-trained on to reduce risk and bias and so forth, right? And I think it all comes together very nicely. So at the content layer, when you use Box AI, we check your permissions. We make sure that you can only use
secure
AI,
RAG, that's right.
Right? On the documents that you have access to. And this is so important because otherwise, you're like, oh, who uploads what document into which AI confusion, right? And then, oh, let me tag this document and say, don't use it. Why do you need to do all that? We will check the permission for you. I think the next level is, and this is a question that comes a lot, which is like, are you going to train on my data? Are you going to be using my data? Is it going to output it in a model like output response? And the answer is absolutely not, right? We at Box AI, in partnership with our with the model partners, make sure that your data never goes back into the model, right? And then you get this third layer of questioning, which is like, oh, what if it outputs like a non-friendly response, a biased response, something a bit quirky? And there, I think, Ali, you should speak to what like Gemini and what your folks are doing in terms of really making sure at the base layer of the model, you're pre-training the models for this sort of use cases and these guardrails, right?
Yeah, absolutely. As you mentioned, responsible AI for us is paramount because we start this, if you will, testing of models for bias, for red teaming, trying to get things out of the model, surreptitiously. So all of those are fundamentally applied from the base of the training.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we do, because our models are multimodal and the world is multimodal, you have text and video and audio and code. And what you want to do is you want to stitch these together in some kind of a counterfactual testing that then is built up versus a vertical for text, a vertical for video, a vertical for audio,
Great point.
right?
Yeah.
And because the biases that are potentially there in the data need to be weeded out in this testing purpose, with the testing that we conduct from the ground up, that is trying to contrast each one of these modalities with the potential biases that are unique to those modalities. So visual modalities have a certain type of bias. Textual modalities have a certain type of bias. So we're trying to fundamentally weed those out. And as the model is trained, you get a model that is much less biased, that has been red teamed, that is abiding by the different principles we have for testing for responsible AI. And the frontier model, the foundation model that we then give to you can be augmented by all the checks and balances for the ACLs, the prompts that you provide. The other thing that I will mention is that there are really two types of models. One is a system two, one is a system one kind of thinking. System one thinking being very quick responses, like we have Gemini Flash, the name talks about it, it's really quick. The other model we call our thinking models, which are now in experimental mode, starts to critique itself like you were talking about. It starts in being introspective, trying to understand what is going on in its own thought process. And so it will take longer, it will deliberate. Like when you ask a human a question, they're not going to immediately blurt out an answer unless it's, hey, how are you doing? Fine, I'm doing. But if you ask a thoughtful question, they're going to ponder and they're going to digest it and then give you a thoughtful answer, hopefully. So with those same analogies, models on the thinking side are now providing those types of outputs. So if you combine those two together, you can choose as an application over content which one of these models is most appropriate for the application. And then your customers and our mutual customers can benefit from that.
Absolutely. And actually, just to call out, I've been really enjoying the thinking model. I've been talking with it about, what should I really eat for breakfast? It's fun.
Wow. A nutritionist at your fingertips almost.
Almost, right?
Yeah.
Tailored to my specific, I like this, but not this. So. There you go.
AI right there.
There you go.
I want to pick on one of the things that Ali, you were mentioning is, the sophistication of your testing that you've already taken into account and the sophistication of Box AI's own secure RAG AI principles that, Box has taken into account, which brings us, I think, in a full circle, going back to the very first thing that we started talking about is, do you need to bring your own model? I mean, these are all of the considerations you'll have to take into account, which takes time, it takes resources, it costs money. And a lot of that is time that you're not spending tackling your business needs or pain points, right? And being at that competitive edge that you need to be as an enterprise. So it really then sounds like trust the really frontier model providers, the content AI leaders like Box, and know that, this has been solved for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, the content is there. the AI is there for you to, be used for whatever use case you might have in mind. And I think one of the things that we started to talk about is the potential for AI and AI agents in the security and compliance era. I've heard a lot of really good feedback and resonance from the BoxWorks keynote where we showed the compliance agent in action. And it was really an agent that's almost like looking out for you, right? Flagging contracts for like compliance risk, things like that. Talk to me a little bit more about what are some of those opportunities for AI agents in the security compliance space?
Absolutely. And I think we talked a lot about like why you can already use AI without worrying, right? And I think the next stage is actually AI can help you worry less, right? So it's a really nice sort of this evolution where content starts to work for you, right? And so in terms of classification, when you look at a customer or even within Box, right? What we consider to be private or something that we don't want to share externally may be completely different than what you define at Google, right? And so here you can use AI to say, hey, when you see these sorts of things in a document, tag it as do not share externally, right? When you see these kinds of things, tag it as do not share beyond this team. And AI can do this for you across multiple documents. So now you don't have to waste the time of your team members thinking through, oh, what was the actual, what was supposed to be not shared externally? Oh, it was this thing. Oh, it has this piece of data, so now I need to tag it. I mean, so just nuanced. Me talking about it would probably take, like AI could have gone through multiple documents by the time I even explained the process to you. So I think this is a huge unlock. And then I think the next unlock even more is, not only how can AI help you worry less, right? Well, it can, do this sort of manual tagging for you so you are more clear on, and it's standardized, right, across your company of what documents are sensitive, not sensitive, and is defined by you. But the next layer is like, it can even detect. Like it can be on the lookout for you, right? It can be a bit of a beacon and it can look at your systems and say, hey, these 3 incidents seem like higher risk, right? And imagine the amount of just manual time you can save not having to look through these things themselves. So I really see AI as a partner in the future of compliance, in the future of trust and security for our customers.
Brilliant, brilliant. Yeah. One of the things that triggered my thoughts here was one of the things that people worry about are hallucination of these models.
Oh yes,
right?
Absolutely.
And so
very key
is
concern.
The model, right?
Absolutely.
Is the model actually generating something that is grounded in my data?
Yep.
So one of the reasons why people think about building their own models is
exactly this.
They fear that the hallucination is completely out on left field, not grounded in their own data. So one of the things we can do is combining the forces that we have from the prompt side, from the foundation model side, in the in-context learning context window, given enough examples to have a model that actually understands the ontology of your domain. But beyond that, that's kind of like pre-generation of content. What about after content is generated from the model? So one of the things you can do is use the Google's grounding service so that it's grounded in your data. And what that does is essentially fact checks the output of the model against your content. And it comes back and says, here are the citations for where I found this sentence, and why I generated this sentence was because of this link that goes back to a box link that says, here is the source document. So you have this traceability that brings trust and kind of brings human in the loop compliance, so people can actually cross-check the compliance that the AI, as you stated so eloquently, it can flag that a human should check, and a human can come and say, okay, here were the outputs, I can go and check. It facilitates compliance checks by providing humans with links to the content that they can actually go and verify.
That's amazing. And I can really see now the way both of you just laid out AI kind of fits into those existing processes, not replacing them entirely, and making sure that there is a human in the loop, to make sure that, okay, everything is as it should be. And I feel like, in our conversation today, we've covered a variety of topics that I want to see if I can quickly recap for our audiences. So we started off talking about enterprise pain points, right? Individual productivity, how can we make it better? And where does AI fit in? And a lot of the times the mind just goes, oh my God, do I need my own solution for this? And the reality of that is, no, you don't. There are leaders in the space, like Box, like GCP, who have figured this out for you to make sure that you as an enterprise can use enterprise-grade AI in a very safe, secure, contextualized manner. Absolutely. And moving from that individual productivity now with agents to org-wide scaling and really getting into the world of agentic routines and workflows. I really liked when we were talking about different agents talking to each other. And almost like a supervised agent of sorts that says, hey, all I know is an insurance claim needs to be filed. Okay, so agent number 1, go do this and find me this. Agent number 2, extract the metadata. Agent number 3, fill this out. And then the end result is a form that, yes, the claims analyst can still go double check, but we've really solved for something that took hours and maybe results in some missing information, because sometimes I remember one of you saying, the content is in different forms, right? Sometimes it's in pictures, it's in half-filled forms, it might be even in like handwritten notes, and AI can really help resolve all of that. And I think that's where we really unlocked the true importance of metadata and the game changer that AI-powered metadata is, because we're going from really manual tagging, something that takes like, okay, I have to sit here and spend 3 hours filling out fields of every single thing. And there is definitely room for human error too, right? Just that tag fatigue can result in fields being missed. And then now your workflow is incomplete. And I loved what both of you were going with that is with agentic routines, AI-powered workflows, you can really make sure that an agent can also check that, okay, there's 7 steps, 4 was incomplete. We actually need to go back and send it back to this person and flag that, hey, can you check this? This is not right. And I love that, that really brings home this concept of agent really being your assistant in your workflows and not replacing everything entirely. I think where that conversation led us is enterprises who operate on a global level, having security, compliance in mind, AI can not only be safe to use, secure, it's actually important to use AI in that space because it can help you stay compliant. It can help you stay on top of regulation and be on your way to your goal of being risk-free and on top of those laws, et cetera. So I really love the turn that this conversation has taken. We've really covered a lot of topics here, quite meaty also as well. I think what I would want to do as we wrap up this conversation is take a little bit of a philosophical point of view. So AI is really redefining our relationship with content, right? It's redefining our relationship with knowledge. And as AI becomes smarter and smarter, and it gets to a spot where potentially it could understand content better than maybe we can. So for knowledge workers like us, what does that mean for us in a future where AI might understand that better and reason better? Does that sound scary? That's not scary, right? It's fine. Right? It's okay. Thoughts? Initial thoughts?
Here's what I feel. I feel like, just if you look at evolution, right? We, as humans, build tools that augment us. We build more tools that augment us, like the calculator, so simple, right? Everyone was like, oh, maybe I don't need to do math anymore. No, and I think AI is yet another tool that will unlock the next level of human augmentation, right? And as I said before, I feel the future of work is the minus 50% of all the drudgery, the burden, this repetitive task that you have to do, whether it's just checking your calendar every morning and figuring out if there's a conflict, something as simple as this, right? It takes a couple minutes, it takes your mind, right? And I am not worried at all, Meena. I feel, and I think there's a responsibility factor, right? I feel both this sort of amazing opportunity for AI to unlock people's time, so that enterprises can actually move faster and grow in whatever the sense growth is for them, because you have more minds able to do more creative work, right? And at the same time, we as AI leaders need to be responsible on how this unlock happens, with the right controls, with the right levers, with the right security, right? And so I feel like this is the unraveling of one of the best tools that we have invented, right? And if I go back to something that I was taught in one of my classes, it's always hire the person that's smarter than you. And that's exactly what we're going to be able to do with AI, right? So I feel, again, this immense opportunity and responsibility. Ali, thoughts?
Very true.
Yeah.
I love that hire someone that's smarter than you. AI is smart. That's brilliant. I like that a lot. And so this whole assistive human augmentation of the work that I do every day, out of the work that I do, there's a lot of the work that's high entropy work, that's chaotic work, that if I'm not in the best frame of mind, I can't do as effectively. Whether that's tagging documents or reading research papers, or I can't read all the research papers that came out on archive on agents, but maybe today I can get a summary of them, and then I can decide which one I actually want to dive into. So there are different levels of assistive support that support our creativity. And I think it's the removal of that entropy, removal of that chaos to a large extent that AI is going to help us do, rather than replace jobs. I don't think AI is going to necessarily replace jobs. It's just putting us in a better place to do what we do more creatively. There will be some things, like if I'm tagging data, right? That may not be something that I want to do. I'm not extremely efficient at tagging, 10,000 documents in an hour. But if there are AI-based technologies that can do metadata extraction, then the ones that are flagged or flawed or outliers, I can then look at them and try to see how I can augment that. Legal assistants, or all the people who do research, they can be augmented and assisted by these technologies in very, very nuanced ways. And they can be better at their jobs.
I love that. And I think one key takeaway from hearing both of your thoughts on that question is, I truly believe that what makes humans, one of the best things is our creativity, right? And our penchant for imagination and kind of creating art, creating technologies and things like that. That really sets us apart. You start off talking about evolution. And I think that was a really great point that you made, where AI is not there to do that for you. It's there to help you achieve those a lot faster and kind of take you from this world of chaos to world of clarity, where you can apply that creativity and really, work on even more technological breakthroughs, medical breakthroughs, really ensuring, that we take the world that way. Well, that was amazing. I think here's the plan, team. Next steps, okay? Here's what we do. Yes, this is not homework, I promise. Not homework for the viewers too. But I think we should reconnect. Let's say in 6 months. The technology is moving so fast. We should come back in 6 months and say, hey, we thought all of these things back in 6 months ago when we spoke, and let's see how things have changed. I predict things would have changed even more drastically. Maybe some things will continue to stay the same. But thank you, both of you, for those perspectives on what is really a little bit of a philosophical question, right? Where is the future of work going? Where is AI going? And what does that mean for knowledge workers like us? And any additional thoughts on that?
I think my thoughts, we've expressed our thoughts. We might as well ask our assistive technologies to do that.
Ask AI, yes.
Ask AI.
Okay, Google, load Gemini. Okay, Gemini, tell me about what you think the future of AI will look like and how it will assist humans for the future of work.
AI's future is looking incredibly bright. We're already seeing it change things, and it's only going to get more powerful. Imagine AI helping doctors come up with new treatments way faster than ever before. or maybe even creating whole new industries we can't even imagine right now. In terms of work, AI could take care of all those boring, repetitive tasks, freeing people up to focus on the creative and interesting stuff.
Well, thank you very much, Gemini, for participating as our fourth panelist.
You're welcome. It was great to be here.
Well, it seems Gemini agrees with us.
I mean, that was a little comforting to hear that, yes, AI agrees. Like, okay, we're all on the same page. That's good, yeah. Well, I want to thank you both again for really joining us. I think the conversations were super riveting and illuminating, especially for our viewers tuning in who are looking to take advantage of AI and really get going and unlocking that productivity. Thank you so much for joining us. The conversation does not stop here. Stay tuned for more in the world of content and AI.